Hi, I'm Mike Anderson. I'm here to interview some Berks County Rock and Roll Hall of Fame graduates, I would say, or inductees, and talking about the rock and roll days of our area here. With us, we have a couple of guys from Makooch.
Yeah, that's right.
And Makooch, and it's Greg Burdan and Mitch Wolf. And you've been around playing for a while.
Forever.
Yeah,
forever.
Is Makooch the first band that you played together, or have you played in other groups before that?
Actually, I started out in high school, and we had a band called Winter's Toll. And Winter's Toll it was a Currier and Ives painting, and for some reason we just thought that was a cool name. So we played rock and roll.
You guys were right. It was a cool name.
Oh, and was that the first band?
That was the first
and
band.
And you both played together?
No,
Where were you from?
I was a Fleetwood boy.
Oh, okay.
Back in the big city. And, during high school, you had a couple knockabout bands that you sort of put together and did this, that, and the other thing. But Makooch was really the first serious thing that we had going.
And what time frame was that?
Mid-70s.
Not to put your age on this.
Mid-70s somewhere.
Okay.
Because that was back in the day. In fact, I was just finishing high school, and this was just getting rolling. Back in the day when you could play 4 nights at Easter one week, and then 5 nights at Rasputin's the next week.
Oh yeah, lots of places to play back then.
Six nights at the and you could almost do a full-time gig, and we did from the mid-70s to like 82, something like that.
Was that your only gig? I mean, you relied on the music?
I gave a few piano lessons. I tuned a few pianos and stuff, but it's only ever said musician on my income tax.
So you're a keyboard player.
Yeah, I am the keyboard player.
And I know you're a sax
singer and sax.
Singer, yeah, right.
And I do congas and all kinds of stuff.
Percussion.
Percussion,
percussion.
Singers usually do the percussion, and horn players as well. We'll go back to that day, but it sort of been a revival for you since the Berks History Center had the Magical History Tour thing a couple of years ago, and you guys got together to play that. Had that been the first time you played together as a group since the old days?
In many moons, yes, it was. We're all still alive.
Was it the original members?
Pretty much. We've gone through a couple of guitar players over the years and a couple of bass players, but mostly the core unit was pretty much the same. And
you had fun doing it, I suppose?
We spent the time, put the 45-minute set together and played it.
Which is tough to do, to figure out which ones to play.
And then we figured, well, we went this far, let's learn a couple more songs. And now we do, 6 or 8 gigs a year, sort of pepper them in with, because we all have other things we do. Rich, our guitar player, does his Celtic stuff that he's got to go on.
Ugly Oyster every Thursday night. Yep, he's doing the...
Wow, yeah. So, that brings, you played a lot of gigs back in those days. It's not the same anymore, is it, as far as places to play?
No, it's a whole new world.
We used to do a thing called, what did we call that Woodstock thing, where my son was at Beaver College, and they had these outdoor gigs where we had kegs of beer, and Makooch was playing, and it was great.
A couple thousand college kids,
tons.
So.
Nice.
And every summer, I think they did one of those.
Yeah.
Those were kind of cool.
So, what were your influences, as far as your own personal influences of playing saxophone and playing keyboards back in the day when you got started?
Of course, there was the Beatles.
Definitely the Beatles.
I could never understand people that thought the Stones were better than the Beatles, but that's another story.
It's a different story.
Right. Other than that, I don't know. I've always been diversified. I started playing when I was 5 and taking lessons, and did the church organist thing for a while, and I wear many hats.
And you're still playing church organ?
No. I don't have time for that these days. We do the little bit with the Makooch thing. I work with Pat Garrett. He doesn't play as much as he used to live, but we do a lot of recording and infomercials.
Some things with Dave Klein once in a while.
And once in a while.
With chicken hats. And
yes, that's right. When Dave needs me, he just needs to call.
Yeah. And you, as a sax player, or what do you consider yourself? More of a sax player or a singer?
I think more of a singer. I would like to do more sax, but you know, we get it in there. And of course, I probably remember I was in the band called Duck Soup and the Foul Mouthed Horns.
Yes.
And that was a 7-year stint that we did.
Boy.
And
I forgot about that.
The singer was like a black man in a white man's body. The way he sang, he had that gravelly voice and played the harmonica. Young.
Okay.
What was his first?
I have no idea.
But anyway,
I did that for like 7 years. I was in the jazz. We were in the Jazz Fest down at a couple of the beer places. You know, I'll never forget a Pike Cafe.
Okay.
We were going to play there. The people were around the entire place waiting to get in.
Wow.
Duck Soup and the Foul Mouthed Horns. So that was a fun 7 years.
Cool.
Yeah, there were. It was one of the horn bands that survived for a while.
Yep, we had the horns, and then I was in a band called Hat Tricks for a little while, and we kind of sometimes we swing back and forth with Hat Tricks. We move the members and deal with each other, you know, because it's all fun. That's all.
Well, I mean, you've been around for a number of years, so you probably played with a lot of the local musicians. I mean, where are people playing nowadays?
It's different. It's different now.
It's few and far between for venues.
Because nobody wants to pay you, so.
Yeah, well, and I guess, I've been on both sides of it. I've been the hirees of bands and the, you know, and figuring out who to hire to get people to come in. It's tough. It's tough on both sides of the thing. And as far as recording contracts, did you ever get involved with any of that complication?
Only through the Pat Garrett aspect. And, it was more his thing to handle all the business end of it.
Okay.
But, we got to, you know, hang in Nashville, and I did 5 or 6 albums with him over the years.
Nice.
We had a syndicated TV show for a couple of seasons that was on a few hundred channels scattered around.
Well, tell me about that a little bit.
We had the amphitheater going on, if you remember, back in the day. And he had, like, you know, Willie Nelson would come in, and Charlie Daniels, and Johnny Cash was there the last year that he was touring. And there would be a writer in the contract that they could film 1 or 2 songs and choose one to use. So, like, right there is what you would hang your show on, you know?
Geez.
So, and then there would always be one of the Pat Garrett Band songs in there.
Yeah.
And before the show, sometime during the day, Pat would corral whoever it was backstage and do a little interview. So, I don't know how many episodes are out there.
And where did they show these? I mean,
locally, Channel 15, I think, 21.
Okay.
You know, your little backwater UHF channels kind of a thing.
Sure, yeah.
I'm not quite sure how the marketing, again, that was not my purview. But you know.
And Pat's still doing that, promoting.
He's still kicking, yeah. Yes, he is. Yeah. We're working on an infomercial now with some songs that he's got going on. And just keep he's not, like I said, we don't play, we used to play everywhere. You know, you'd fly to San Diego and play, or work a cruise ship in the Caribbean and stuff. Now, it's more recording and iTunes and kind of thing, you know.
But when you toured with him, were you in the official Pat Garrett Band? Was it this?
Yeah.
Was it Tommy Vollmer?
Tommy Vollmer, and he's still, and in fact, Tommy and I, we do a duo. And anybody that'll have us.
Berks County.
We do the Heim 4 or 5
Tommy
times.
is very famous too.
Yes, he is. Yes.
I know Fred Bernardo speaks very highly of him.
Yeah. So Tommy and I, like I said, we do a duo a lot. If we get enough money, we'll take Haley Sheeler along with us for a trio.
Nice.
That way we have a good-looking girl to put in the middle of us two old guys.
Good too.
And her new and used country is what she calls herself.
Yeah.
So, like I said, and wear many hats.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're still talking rock and roll here somewhere, and we all go back to the rock and roll days.
Yep.
Do you have any memorable moments, either with Makooch or other bands that you played with? As far
I had one. I was still at Wyomissing High School, and the band, it was called the Proverbial Knee Highs. I don't know if you ever remember them.
I remember the name, The
sax player had to go off to college, right? And they needed a sax player to do some Chicago stuff. Now, I was just a young kid, I had the horn. In fact, my dad actually had a Selmer...
Mark VI?
No, a Con King. Not a Selmer, but a Con King.
Con King, yeah, okay.
1936. And he handed that to me when I was just a little guy in grade school.
Cons were big back in the 30s and 40s.
They needed this guy, they needed a sax player, so Marty Mellinger came over to my house. I was living in West Reading then, and he would lay down all the tracks for me to do this gig, and it was at Albright College, and my dad was the public relations director there, so this was the big night, I was all like, I was freaking out. But I made it through.
So you read music, you did the charts.
I was able to read it, and I got through it, and we did a couple of Chicago tunes, and it was great. After I got done, it was like, I was scared to death.
Sometimes that's the way you learn.
Scared to death, because I was just so young and just starting out at it,
Well, but, you've made it this far, and we're still going strong, which is nice too. How about you? Any
big memorable things?
Well, what were the fun times?
Just with Makooch, it just was one long fun gig. When you play 4, 5, 6 nights a week, virtually every week, you get pretty tight. You know when the other guys are going to breathe almost.
And that's good. That's hard to come by nowadays.
Yeah, we still listen to some of the old cassettes.
Cassettes.
Not the wire recordings or the
from back in the Edison. Back in the day, and some of the stuff we did, because we always tried to be a little more out there.
Yes.
Material-wise, if there was a big hit on an album, we would listen to that album, and we'd find another track on that album that we would do instead.
Yeah, sure.
Kind of a thing, just to be way out there. And it was fun. But there was, and again, this is back with Pat Garrett. He had a couple of original tunes that he had written, and somehow this producer managed to get us, there's a show on WSM Nashville called Midnight Jamboree, where they showcase like newer acts kind of a thing. Yeah. And they do it sort of like an acoustic unplugged. So it was Pat, his wife Susie, and myself, because that's the 3 vocal harmonies that we do, that flew to Nashville to do this show. And it's coast to coast, estimated like 5 million listeners. It's live kind of a thing. Whoa. So there we are in the afternoon, and we're doing a meticulous sound check. I need a little more of this in my wedge, a little bit less. and it was perfect. Okay, cool. So then that night, like I said, there's 6 or 7 or 8 acts that go throughout this whole show. It was our turn. We went out, and we started, and there were no monitors.
Ooh, ow.
So we did 3 songs live, coast to coast, just flying blind.
Not hearing what you're doing. I hope I sound good here.
That was one of the more nervous moments.
Well, as a horn player and singer, if monitors are out, you're doomed. Or you're singing out of tune, or playing out of tune, or straining to play it. Well, now you you go way back in Berks County history. Anybody from Berks County bands that influenced you on the way up? Did you go hear bands wherever you could, not in the bars, but outdoor?
Back in the day, Faith was a big
okay.
thing. Dewey and Steph and Marty.
the Hamburg Fieldhouse.
So you guys were much younger than I am.
We did one stint
at the Fieldhouse. Where everybody would go to the Fieldhouse and walk in circles.
Oh yeah, walk in circles. Oh, there's some that sat in the front there and just bobbed their heads. Yeah. Those were fun days.
Yeah, those were, and I even had a couple years where Dewey and Steph and Bean Charlie, the drummer, we had a little 4-piece thing going, ATP, that we did for a couple of years. Wow. We played every Tuesday night at Hugo's for like 2.5 years, And then Wednesday through Saturday we went wherever the agency sent us. And it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun playing with your people that you looked up to.
Yeah.
And so, people looking up to, what advice do you give to young rockers in Berks County and Reading, and what do you do nowadays? How do you prepare for this, or
It is difficult because it's like we said, a brave new world.
Yeah.
In fact, my son just 2 years ago now, he got his master's in jazz studies and performance, and he's finishing up his second stint with Carnival Cruise Lines. He's playing the Caribbean. And
cruises are good,
getting his chops together. And as a parent, of course, I'm obligated to go here and play in the Caribbean.
Obligated.
Parents
it's a tough life.
Terrible.
And we did it like 7 or 8 months ago, and we did it just a month or so ago. And he's really getting his chops together. You play 3 times a day, 7 days a week, just like back in the old Makooch days. You can't help but get good.
So practice.
Yeah, the old P word. That was the joke. How do you get to Carnegie Hall from here?
How about you? You're playing horn. You kind of got shocked into it one time, but learning real quickly. Is that the deal?
It's kind of an ad lib kind of thing for me. I just pick it up and go. But I'd like to do a little more saxophone. Sometimes this band doesn't allow me to do that. That's a hint.
You keep bringing up songs.
They don't care for Springsteen for some reason.
I know how that goes,
but,
too. This is great.
I'm enjoying it. I hope it doesn't end.
This is great to have you here. Anything you want to add to this interview? I mean, I'm letting you go wherever you want to go on this at this point. I mean, The Berks History Center was great. I think it's wonderful what they did to have everybody reorganize and have fun with it. The audiences are always good at the public things that they do.
The Magical History Tour is quite a day when they do that. It's a shame that didn't happen last year.
Well, it didn't happen last year. There's some problems with organization, the people who organize it with different jobs coming up and things like that. So that was something that happened because of circumstances. We've been talking about doing it in the future, and we'll see how it works out. Yeah, but I think they're going to keep the Hall of Fame thing going in whatever capacity we can get it going, because it's nice to recognize people who. It's a lot of culture that a lot of people grew up hearing all you guys. And
the first time we saw faces we hadn't seen.
That's right, for
decades.
And you've renewed your fan base. I'm sure when you play now, the same people are showing up and saying, "Hey,
we just backed her up in Halloween." The other weekend.
The Evergreen Club.
Oh, yes.
Packed,
Yeah, pretty much, shoulder to shoulder kind of thing. So
that's a good place to play. That's where the Magical History Tour was going.
That's correct.
Well, I would just say keep your eyes open for that. We'll see how that goes. A change in management here and there, and Dave Klein was involved with getting a lot of people together, and he experienced some things at his job, and now but he's out there doing more than ever now. So we'll see where we can get people going on it. But again, thank you for both being here and sharing your experiences, and we hope to hear from you in the future.
Keep us in mind.
Sounds good.
Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.